Good day, everyone. Today we are receiving Mr. Michael A. Dehn, CEO of Jourdan Resources. They had many projects, so we're going to let him talk about this. Mr. Dehn, good day.
Good day. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And you have many projects here, and with the time we have, I would like to concentrate with the most important. Which is your most important project at the moment? Is it the one with close to critical elements, or the one from Dehn, or the one from lithium?
It's not even one of those. Our most important project is another phosphate project about 50 kilometers away from Dehn, called Decision Lake. A lot of the non-phosphate properties came into the company before I joined, and we've sort of refocused in the last 3 years into phosphate as our focus. It just so happens we had a lot of good projects from previous management that were worth keeping, so we keep moving them forward as time and Is that the Jazz phosphate? Jazz is a new property we picked in, and we just closed that acquisition. That is directly contiguous, ties on to Dehn. It would be our second highest priority project right now, but our highest priority project, we already have a historic resource. The metallurgy has been tested on it. So the next step will be doing a scoping study.
It's the project you were talking about. What's the name?
Decision Lake.
Decision Lake.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it here. So you have drilled 4,000 meter there, and you're talking about 3.65% of phosphate and 4.72% of titanium, and this is your biggest, you said?
That's our focus project, yes. That's our main project. We have done a large consolidation of phosphate assets from Sept-Îles all the way to Saguenay on the North Shore. But Decision Lake is by far the most advanced and probably realistically going to be the largest tonnage as well.
Okay. How can we compare a project like that with Dehn?
Dehn would be, I guess, higher grade, potentially the same size tonnage. They go quite a bit deeper than we do in our plans. We expect to only be going down 75 meters vertically. I think in their resource calculations they go down 200 or 300 meters. So their grade does justify going deeper. With our grades, we have to look a little shallower, closer to surface. But we have good geometry on our side. We're looking at a zone that's a minimum 200 meters wide, and it seems to run for somewhere between 5 and 18 kilometers. So when we get a few more drill holes in there, we'll know if it's 500 million tons or 5 billion tons.
Okay, so it's still imprecise.
Yeah.
And what makes you thinking that this project could take off?
Logistics is part of it. The phosphate space too is a very strategic space to get into. 90% of the global reserves are tied up in the Middle East and North Africa, many politically unstable countries. The U.S. currently is declining its production. Canada has zero production. There's Mine Arnaud that Investissement Québec and Yara have that they're trying to make a decision on in Sept-Îles. But that production is going to go all to Yara. Then you've got Dehn with their project, and I think they're going to be looking to sell to the U.S. market. We even see a good, strong demand in the domestic market. So if we could sell to Canadian producers, if you look, La Co-op here in Quebec has done a deal with IFCO of India. It's another big fertilizer producer to build a urea plant in Quebec. If you take urea and phosphate, you can make a value-added fertilizer called DAP, or diammonium phosphate. And that you could probably sell that all just in the local North American market in the Northeast U.S. and in Quebec and Ontario.
So what are you planning to do with this project? Just strictly take the material off the ground, or process it?
The material we would have to process it and sell a concentrate or create a value-added fertilizer beyond that. In Morocco, they will sell run-of-mine ore, so direct ship ore as you have here in the iron ore mines in Quebec. Here we have to make a concentrate. The benefit of all the Quebec ores, even Dehns or Mine Arnaud, is that they're very clean. They don't have any cadmium, they don't have any lead, no arsenic, no uranium. A lot of the other deposits around the world, they're high grade, but you get whatever comes along with the good grade. You get cadmium you can't sell to Europe, lead's a problem, arsenic can be toxic. So depending on where you are in the world, you can have a very high grade deposit, but they're not set up to do a processing to remove the nasties that you call it.
So it's much less costly if you don't have to take all kind of stuff.
That's right, and they don't do very much processing. They mine it, they crush it, maybe they wash it a little bit, Where we are, we're talking flotation, which it's traditional in Canadian gold mines or other metal mines where they would actually float a more dense mineral out of a less dense mineral, as opposed to just magnetic separation. And there's been enough work done on Decision Lake that we're very comfortable we can make a premium concentrate.
Come again with this, with this type of resources that you have there with Decision, you said that you would have to do it by floating.
By flotation, yes.
By flotation.
Yeah.
And but would you need such a big mill to do
that?
It
would be quite large. We're looking for us to look at a 20-year mine life. We'd like to see 500 million tons of resource. We think we're about halfway there with 4,000 meters. So another 4,000 meters of drilling should give us the confidence that there is a 20-year mine life and give investors that kind of comfort as well. And then again, you do some infill drilling, bring the category of the resource up. But on metallurgical, I think we're quite comfortable that it makes a good product. Now it's just, is the economic size there? I think we'll probably see that it's a 100-year mine life by the time all the work is done, but that might take us another 2 years to get that far, maybe even 3 years.
Because so far, that's the largest difficulty that we see is always when it comes to making
the product,
the product, to process the product. Darian has this problem, Canada Lithium has this problem, Orbit has this problem, and everyone has a problem getting the money and build the plant and start producing.
Definitely, capital is tough, especially for junior companies in this market. I mean, we've had 2 years of terrible markets for junior companies. If you go back 3 years, it was the heyday for junior mining. But I think what you see, I left more traditional industrial minerals and gold and focused on phosphates because what I see as the big growth is population. We're going to have a new largest population in Africa. It'll be 9 or 10 billion people, and it's going to take a lot of agriculture to feed those people. You've got India now, they have to buy all their phosphate from other countries. China produces enough to sustain themselves. The US used to be the largest producer. They are declining. So they're looking for other sources of high quality phosphate. The Koreans, the Japanese, they want the highest grade possible because they don't have anywhere to put the waste from the low grade material.
Where are you located exactly? How far from the infrastructure are you?
We're right on one of the main logging roads outside of Forestville at Decision Lake.
Okay.
We're close, we're 7 kilometers off the highway at Sept-Îles at our West Arnaud property, which is less than 20 kilometers from Mine Arnaud. We're contiguous to Ariane at Jazz. And then we have several other projects, the Haché, Caché, La Catherine. They're all, I guess, along the south shore within 50 to 100 kilometers of the St. Lawrence River between the Saguenay and Forestville. So we're really sticking to the Grenville rocks, which is a package of rocks in the Canadian Shield that follow the St. Lawrence River, and always within 100 or so kilometers of the coast.
With the, but you have many projects. We can maybe talk a little bit about the other project. This seems to be your best project, but what about the project that is close to critical element, which has a $5.4 billion project also?
I mean, that project, I inherited it. It's a good project. Critical Elements, John Sebastian's done a great job there with the geology and the project moving it forward. I think that's going to be a one he's going to have a bit of money, have to raise a little money to move forward on, and having nice tantalum grades along with lithium will help that project definitely. Canada Lithium's got a very nice project that we're adjacent to as well, but they don't have some of these byproducts that Critical Elements will have. In that case, we're not in a hurry to put that project into production, but if Critical Elements goes forward and we have a resource of any size there, maybe it'll be an add-on to any plant they put on. But I don't think we can count that as a standalone deposit that can run on its own. But it's a good asset. Okay.
So your main project is Decision. Do you have enough money right now? The stock is at 4 cents today, so it's pretty hard to raise money with a stock at this price.
Sure, we're sitting with just over $100,000 in the treasury, so we're tight for cash. And part of the reason we're here in Montreal, we're visiting some of the funds and the brokers, so we'll see if there's some appetite. But there really hasn't been any appetite for the last 2 years in the junior sector. So we've seen some turnaround. I think we were down to 2.5 cents in the middle of December with the tax loss selling and some of the funds getting out. And our volumes are staying stable. We're actually seeing more volume in the stock, and the stock's slowly rising. So
there's more right now since September. In average, you have about tripled in volume, so there's a little bit more activity. But probably the concern of the shareholders right now would be, oh, if I buy that stock at 4 or 5 cents, will I still be diluted again whenever they do a financing?
Sure, no, and I think that's a concern for anyone in the junior market, and it's not just an issue with Jourdan, but anyone who's got a company. There's a lot of companies that are in better shape than us, but probably a lot more that are in worse. And we've been very active for the last 2 years. We've put together a lot of projects, done a lot of drilling in a market when a lot of other people have become turtles and just kind of ducked their heads and hidden, and you know, management will still pay themselves salaries. They're not putting any work in the ground. And I think
so. Where do you take that money from?
We've been able to successfully finance for the last few years. I mean, we haven't done the big financings we would have done in 2011 or 2012, where we could raise $2 or $3 million. We raised $200,000 here, $200,000 there. It's much more of my time is spent on the road marketing the company, raising capital, where I'd rather be working on the projects and advancing metallurgy, moving things forward. But you do what you have to do in these market conditions.
And I forgot my question, but do you have any plan of consolidating the share, or
no? We don't have any plans to roll.
Are there a way of financing it, like
sure,
taking a partner or something?
We are talking with one group here in Montreal who has a strategic partner who is interested in phosphate, and you know, an idea of a transaction would be they put an equity financing in, meaningful equity financing in the company, and then they would have a right of first refusal on any of our phosphate assets if it wants to go to production or if somebody else makes an offer for it. So it becomes a less dilutive way, gives the investor really what they want, which is the phosphate, but allows us to advance the projects as well.
And for how long a potential? You said 20 years.
Yeah, that's what
you're trying.
When you're looking at your feasibility study, you kind of look at it amortized over about 16, 17 years. So to be a conservative on the geology side, if you have 20 years of reserves, you can do planning for a feasibility study. If you can do it in 10 years, then you've got a very profitable project.
So so you don't have the money right now to do the next drilling phase that you need. So that's what you're in Montreal for.
That's part of the reason we're here, and part of it we have a lot of shareholders here that we want to update and let them know what we're doing.
Is it an option maybe to sell some of your other secondary project?
We actually have already with Jourdan Resources. We have sold them or optioned them our Valley Lithium property adjacent to Candle Lithium. So they're earning an interest, and they've been doing metallurgical testing on the project, and also had Chinese customers doing testing on the material. So we'll see if that's successful. And for us, those shares will, you know, if it goes to production, are liquid and are a way for us to finance ourselves. But also, it's a good project, and it just didn't fit in with the mix of phosphate. So we let Jourdan take the lead on the project, and they're doing a good job.
And how many outstanding shares do you have?
I think we're just over 70 million shares right now.
70 million. So how long do you think it can be feasible? I mean, not on, let's say you find the money or a way of financing, doing the drilling and putting up an operating mine out there. What's the period
What's
of
your
time
timeline?
you think it, yeah.
I mean, we could do a feasibility study by the end of this year if we had the capital. I don't think it's very practical to think we're going to raise $3 or $4 million in the next 2 or 3 months. So that's probably not a realistic goal, but that's the kind of dollars we're talking about that will get Decimu Lake to where the point you know it'll be producing or not. When it comes to timeline to production, and we had this discussion with some of the guys at Investissement earlier today, Investissement Quebec, that it's likely going to be 5 to 7 years, even if you made the decision today before you be in production. And looking at what the global market is for phosphate, that's not a bad time, because the new demand, they need 2 mines every year coming on stream the size of Mine Arnaud for just to meet current demand levels. So for us to come in 7 years from now, that kind of all the projects that are on the table going into production will have been into the market, and there's this new round that we would fit into of new producing mines. So the timing wise, I think it fits better that we're a little later, but we also want to optimize things as much as we can, get the highest grade concentrate, best recoveries.
Mr. Dehn, we thank you very much for visiting us today. We wish you very good luck in trying your financing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.